Welcome to the 707, a weekly half-hour program produced by KRCB, a service of NorCal Public Media. The 707 features voices and stories from your community, stories about the next generation of the wine industry, and stories that show how we are connected to each other. I'm your host, Michelle Marques. As you drive through the rolling hills of Sonoma County, you see a lot of vineyards. You'll also sometimes see immigrant workers out in these fields. Historically, immigrants have been the ones behind the scenes upholding the labor work of the wine industry, but rarely the ones doing the crafting, tastings, or purchasing. As KRCB's Shandra Back reports, that may be changing and at a critical moment for the wine industry.
Thanks, Michelle. It's true. Latino-owned wineries are popping up all around Northern California, but they haven't been too successful in selling to other Latinos. Bridging that gap could have enormous economic implications for the wine industry. So if Latinos haven't historically been big wine drinkers, what are Latino winemakers doing to change that?
The Merlot, we're doing it with the refried beans. The Merlot is going to be more fruit forward. You're gonna get some of that like blueberry, maybe some plum, and it's just kind of like a very light style red.
Yeah.
That con like tacos de frijoles, like something simple.
Salvador de la Cruz is a Latino winemaker from Sonoma County. His brand is named Ludor, and out here at Deerfield Ranch in Kenwood, a couple from the Bay Area are trying his new collection. But the wines are paired with different flavors than you typically find at a wine tasting.
So yeah, the whole purpose of this is to kind of showcase our wines with like everyday kind of household items that you have at your house, right? Jitomate, like pico de gallo is just jitomate, cebolla, y chile, right? So simple. Refried beans or beans in general are always kind of part of our household, and then cheese, and then those are tortilla chips. It's just frying the tortillas. But yeah, like simple, but it also goes to show that like we can pair our wines can be paired with also Mexican cuisine, and it doesn't have to be like super fancy like cuisine, Mexican cuisine either.
The couple, Mauricio and Marinez Rosales, are both second-generation Latinos like De La Cruz, and he takes them through the tasting, explaining the notes and flavors to their shared palate.
Yeah, it like melts the cheese in your mouth, if that makes sense. Like as you're eating the cheese, it like combines really nice.
No, it's something about the bitterness of it. It's just what I like. The cab. No, like when I have a sweet red, like it's good. Don't get me wrong, but it's just I'll tell like fellow like first time wine drinkers. I'll be like, oh here, have this, and they're just like, it's too bitter.
Yeah. And I think that's it's like when you're, like you said, you're a new wine drinker, like you want to drink something fruity.
Like I feel like my sister, she would love that one.
The Yuma?
Yeah.
Yeah, so none of our wines have like added sugar, but it's just like during the fermentation, like the fruit really expresses itself, and we're able to capture that. And we want to make it more fruit forward.
I had the queso, and then I had the cab right after.
Yeah.
It just like.
Yeah,
it's like a kick. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
What kind of kick?
I don't know. It's like
I feel like it melted in my mouth, like the cheese and the wine.
Like an enhancement? Is that?
Yeah. Like it. What expresses more, like the wine or the cheese? You think?
The wine.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what food is supposed to do. I'm gonna try it.
Yeah.
Like obviously, like when you try the cab by itself, you taste the bitterness, which is still good, but. When I had the cheese and then I had that, it kind of like it amplified it in a way.
So the tannins.
Yeah.
So the that bitterness that you're saying, it's the tannins from the cab.
Yeah.
So cab tends to have higher tannins. And then I think the cheese has fat, so it's so the milk fat with the tannins is it's what's making it express differently. For someone that might say, hey, no, I don't like wine, we'll try it with food. That could be an option.
De La Cruz pairs each wine with familiar flavors like beans, cheese, pico de gallo, and for dessert?
I would have never thought to have flan with wine, to be honest. I feel like
Learning something right now.
Well, I mean, when I used to work in a tasting room, like people would always say like, oh, like creme brulee or like, and I was like, well, I don't even know what the heck that is, you know. And so then like I would look it up, and then I'm like, that's like a flan, you know.
I chat with De La Cruz about his journey into the wine industry.
I think when it really got serious was when I was like around 14, 15. My dad was like, okay, now you're actually gonna like work, like you do the same work we're doing, right? And then at that point, I remember it was like spring break, and I was like, I hate this. We were removing weed. It's kind of farmed organically, so we were removing weeds with a shovel, right, around the vine. And I was just like, damn. I was like, I don't like this at all. Like I would go home, like my back hurt. I remember one day I even dreamed of weeds. I was like, this is horrible. I was like, I'm never gonna do this again. And I remember I told my dad, I was like, I'm never doing this type of work. I was like, I don't want to be involved in anything that has to do with like grapes. Yeah.
So what happened?
I think what changed was, I think it was probably that same year or maybe the next year. I was working with my dad. I didn't know I could go to school and like be like an engineer or an architect or other careers paths, right? Just being here in Sonoma County, and all I saw was vineyards and wineries and farms and agricultural type of work. My dad would say, "Hey, there would be the winemaker for who would buy the grapes for the winery would come in and be like." My dad would see him. He's like, "Hey, you see that guy? He's just rolling around in his truck. You know, he gets off, walks a few lanes. You know." And then heads back to his office where he has an AC when it's hot, where he has a heater when it's cold. He's like, that could be you. And I hadn't really thought about that until then. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then as I started looking more into like winemakers, I saw that there wasn't many Latino winemakers. I was like, that'd be cool, kind of inspire other people to kind of follow this path, because I was like, I'm not the only one that's out here as a kid, you know, in the vineyards. I'm sure there's plenty of them in Napa County, Sonoma County, or in California. That kind of sparked an interest, and from there it was just like kind of learning more on my own up until like I went to college for it. Yeah.
Latinos have been in the wine industry for so long, but in different parts of it. And so I'm wondering like what your take on that is as you grew up in it.
Yeah, so I mean, we're always seen as like the labor force, right? Mainly when it comes to like vineyards or sometimes even the cellar, but we're always behind the scenes, right? We're never kind of the face of we're never like the winemaker. I was like, why aren't we there if we're doing all the work and we have all this knowledge, right? I really wanted to change that part, that aspect, and kind of show that it can be done, and then that others can follow if interested in this path. Yeah.
And how has the journey been?
It's been tough. I mean, a lot of up and downs. It's just very competitive. It's a tough industry. I think now people are more open to seeing like Latino winemakers or like women winemakers too. I mean, they've had a hard time also kind of coming up in the winemaking world. But I think it's changing, and I think the newer generations are more open to trying new things and kind of giving the opportunity to someone else that's not kind of like the common path. Yeah.
Did you have any experiences of pushback because of, you know, your identity as a Latino?
I have in the past, working at certain places, not through the employer, but through just like people who come in like to the tasting room and stuff like that. I had people be like, hey, like, what are you doing here? Like, aren't you supposed to be in the vineyard? And like comments like that, they get you mad, you know, but at the same time, it's like motivation. It's like, hey, like, you know, like I'm here because I know my things, you know, and I'm not just here because I'm here, you know. It's like I know what I'm doing. I've worked hard to be here, and now it's like proving people that you belong here. Yeah.
And do you feel like part of it's proving to those people that make comments and part of it's proving to the Latino community, or how do you think about that?
Yeah. I think at this point I want to make something that like my community can relate to, something that kind of exposes them to the world of wine, something that opens their mind or opens the door and be like, oh, I didn't know I can like wine, you know. And then based on that, they can go and like try other wineries, right? Because growing up here, it's like we've been always around wineries, but with my group of friends, I'll be like, hey, let's go wine tasting, and they're like, no, like I don't like wine. And like, how come? Well, it's because I tried this wine and it was too bitter, or you know, and or I go to the winery and I feel like I don't belong there, you know. There's all these people, just I feel like they're staring at me. They might not be, but it's like I feel out of place. The terms they use, like I don't understand them, so it's intimidating. I feel like when that was happening to me, I didn't really realize it up until my friends told me. And I was like, oh, that's true. I was like, I went through that too. Because I felt, when I first started working in the tasting room, I felt like out of place, you know. That kind of where it clicked. I was like, I have to do something to change that, because these people are willing to try the experience, but they're just scared, you know. They don't know where to start.
De La Cruz said the shift with his friends worked.
Now they set up the wine tastings, and then they invite me. They're like, hey, we're gonna go wine tasting here, would you like to join us? And I'm like, yeah. And it's like, you see the confidence when they show up to a tasting room and they order something, and someone's like explaining the terminology, and they're like, oh yeah, I get that, or yeah, I know that. And yeah, and it's fascinating because it's something that's in our backyard, and we never took advantage of it, and now we're starting to. So I think to me that's like the what brings me happiness, you know. It's like just seeing my friends that can enjoy something that I'm part of too.
And do you think that this can be something larger than your friend group and your community here, like your immediate community?
Oh yeah, definitely.
De La Cruz is right. There is a growing interest and untapped market for Latinos in the wine industry, both as producers and consumers. In the next segment, my colleague Shandra Back talks with an industry expert from the Wine Market Council on that potential. We'll also head back out to the vineyard to experience a wine and food pairing with culturally significant dishes. This is the 707 on KRCB.
KRCB is Sonoma County's NPR station. Wondering what makes us stand out? It's simple, our unwavering commitment to this community. Morning Music, hosted by Brian Griffith, sets the perfect tone for your day.
Brian here with you on Sonoma County's NPR station.
As the sun climbs high, join Doug Jane for Midday Music.
Doug Jane with you, thanks for tuning in.
It's the soundtrack of Sonoma County. Then, stay informed with All Things Considered, featuring insightful reporting from the KRCB newsroom, ensuring you're always in the loop.
For Manzana, the company that helped keep Sebastopol's famous Gravenstein apple alive, their 103rd year in business will be their last.
Your home for the best in local news and music. Because when the community sings, we're here to listen. Your radio, your stories, your station. KRCB 104.9, Sonoma County's NPR station.
Welcome back to the 707 on KRCB. Today, my colleague Shandra Back explores Latinos in the wine industry. Shandra, when you talked with winemaker Salvador de la Cruz, he said there's growing interest from his Latino friends for all aspects of wine.
Yeah, and De La Cruz is not the only one who feels this way. Christian Miller is the director of research at the Wine Market Council, an industry group, and says the data backs him up.
The current state of the wine market is weak, and a lot of individuals or producers are struggling right now. They, for a variety of reasons, not all by any means, but it's become overall consumption has declined. It's primarily driven by a decline in alcoholic beverage consumption in general. Wine has been hurt a little bit more than others in some senses because the lower end of this price spectrum has suffered the worst, which has the highest volume section, highest share of volume. And it also has lost it's losing occasions and frequency to RTDs and cocktails and so on, especially in the on-premise sector in restaurants and bars and cafes and so on. For all products, Hispanic Americans are important and going to become a lot more important. They're roughly 12 to 14% of the over 50 population, around 20% of the 20 to 50-year-olds, and 25% of the 0 to 20-year-olds. So it's a very big and growing part of the future consumer base, potentially tens of millions of consumers for any product.
What kind of an impact would that have if they were not under indexing and they were meeting more of the standards?
It would be quite substantial, I believe. And I can't do the math that quickly in my head, but you're really talking about tens of millions of people, and a proportion of those now drinking wine, more wine and less beer or spirits, the case may be. It's not something that will turn around the entire U.S. market, but it would be a substantial shot in the arm for the wine industry, I would certainly think, and hence for the grape growers as well.
Are there past examples of new demographic groups that that have revitalized an industry in a way that we're kind of speaking about in the potential of Latinos?
Yes, African Americans in particular are probably the most dynamic consumer segment for wines in the population right now, especially somewhat younger and somewhat higher income groups are they're avid consumers of wine, very interested in learning more about it, very open-minded in trying all kinds of different wines. That's something that sprang up to some extent organically from, people within the African American community getting involved in marketing and of wine.
Like history needs to repeat itself in a new context, whereas we have a new demographic group entering into prime spending years. There are strategies that we can pull from that have worked in the past that need to be revitalized to pull in a
Yeah,
new
I think
demographic.
in the sense the same kind of concepts of making wine more energetic and fun and connected. They just need to be translated into the modern idiom.
Back at the tasting room at Deerfield Ranch, I asked Mauricio and Marinez Rosales about their experience tasting wines from Latino winemaker De La Cruz and why they're drawn to a tasting tailored to their cultural palate.
I love going specifically to Latino owned or Latina owned because I feel like they're very personable, they're very approachable, and they're willing to actually sit down with you and talk about the tasting. And I feel like in other like bigger companies, they're just kind of like, here's the wine, this is what it is, and then they leave and then they come back with the next wine, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't really feel like, I don't feel a connection there. Salvador's able to do that for us. Other like Latino or Latina owned have been able to do that, and I really love that. It feels very homey because this is like the typical food we would have like every single day back home with our family. Like we have this is like the basics of what we already would have at our home, and to see that with the wine pairing, like that's so new to me. But it also makes me feel like my like background and like my, I don't even know what to call it, my roots are being shown at something that's not like your typical wine tasting. Usually you see like a charcuterie board with like crackers and like the sausages and salami and stuff like that, but you don't see this. Yeah. Like this is me, this is who I am. It's like me feeling my authentic self and showing up as my authentic self, and I love that representation. So
like if I were to put myself like as a first time wine drinker and the Salvador would have been like, hey, try these wines by themselves, I probably would have been skeptical. And they'd be like, oh, I don't know, and I never had wine. But showing in like with like familiar foods that I had growing up, I could be like, you know what? Pico de gallo, I've had that. Let me try it with wine. And it ended up being really good. So I'll probably be like, oh, this is really good. I'll spread the word, and it makes me want to try it again.
Marinez also talks about why she hasn't felt comfortable in these spaces before seeing representation.
Yeah, I feel like when I was asked about wine tasting, like, oh, do you want to go to a wine tasting? I was like, what is that? Mm-hmm. Like, what's even wine? Like, Stella Rosa tasting? Like, what is that? And when I went to my first one, I was so scared because I was like, I've never had this before.
Yeah, it's intimidating.
Yeah, it feels so fancy. Like, do I even belong here? Like, I don't even... Yeah. I don't see myself in that, so I'm like, Yeah. But then when I started learning more about like Latino and Latina owned wines, I'm like, wait, like I see us in it. Like I want to be a part of that too. Yeah.
And I think it's changing with us. It's like we like a lot of us have the education or we're willing. If we don't have it, we're willing to learn. And we're willing to go out of our way to learn and experience these things, and we have a better financial situation than our parents did, and we're just willing to go try these things and be part of this, this new lifestyle. Yeah.
So I love what you're doing, and I love the fact that like your wine is approachable, and you show that in like the pairings too, and I really enjoy that because I would not see this I have not seen this anywhere else ever.
And while they sit here on a gorgeous sunny day drinking wine, it hasn't always been peaceful for Latinos to break into new industries, especially right now at the intersection of a struggling wine industry and increasing anti-immigrant sentiment.
Sometimes it discourages you because like people shut doors and like it's hard to open these doors, and it's like you knock and no one answers, but it's like, I want to be part of this change, you know? I want to change the narrative of we are not consumers, and I want to be part of that change. Like say, hey, you know, like we're here and we're here for the better, and we're here to help this country, help the economy, you know, be part of this society, and just ser un buen ejemplo, you know, like be like, you know, yeah, I mean, a lot of us work really hard, you know, to be where we are, you know, and with very little help, and I mean, with very little financial help from our parents, and
yeah, no, at the end of the day, at least for like me, it's like all the like obstacles that I had to overcome. Looking back, I'm like, you know what? It was tough, but it was worth it.
Yeah.
Winemaker Salvador de la Cruz is just one example of the growth that Latinos are seeing in the wine industry. There is potential in previously untapped markets. Tasting experiences tailored to cultural palates are opening doors, and as the wine industry looks for its next generation of consumers, this could be it.
I'm the producer of this program, Michelle Marques. This episode was written by Shandra Back. Editing assistance by Queena Kim. Podcasts are available at krcb.org/the707. Email topic and guest suggestions to the707@krcb.org. This show is a service of NorCal Public Media. Our president and CEO is Darren Lachelle.